Big Sills! Dude, it's Friday. It's supposed to be the NFL offseason. Why do I feel like I'm in the middle of the year with the NFL? Front page, baby. National Football League is front page. The NBA is like page 3. The NHL is like page 5, and the Flyers are like in the classifieds. And you know why they're in the classifieds? Dear Philadelphia sports fans, if you would like to buy my tickets, the next time the Rangers come down, here, I'll give them to you for a cannoli in South Philly. Holy cow. Of all the cities, I thought that would never surrender to another opposing team's fan base. Philadelphia, you now join the cities like Los Angeles. That Flyers organization, poor Ed Snyder must be looking down going, what have you done? Unreal. That's all the time I'm spending on the NHL and the Flyers. I love Torch, you know that, but man, not good. Not good. All right. Let me throw this out at you, too. I love the Combines. The Combines, my wife and I were watching the Combines. Do you know that 18 million people are going to watch the NFL Combines this week? Let that sit in. 18 million people. Nearly 29 million people will watch the NFL Draft in April. What does that tell you? The NFL is king in content. Well, Big Sills is king in content, but you know what I mean, right? Man, the league has cornered the market. They've totally cornered the market on frozen orange juice. Bad reference. Get it. The Combines, I mean, look, Nolan Smith is now a superstar. By the way, I do like Dan Campbell, the head coach of the Lions, and what he says, though. The dude starts barking. He goes, guys running around in pajamas doesn't impress me. Hey, and he's right. You know where he got that line from? He got that from my boy Chris Spielman, because that's what Chris Spielman looks at. He goes, guys are running around in their pajamas. Is that supposed to impress me? Wow, did you see that guy run a 40? I don't know, man. Running 40s? Is he a good football player? Do you think there was anybody better than me when it comes to being a combine freak? 55 on the 225 bench, 481 at 292, 27 vertical. Take it from Big Sills. You got to put that tape out there. You got to be productive. Show me production. Can you play? Right? Oh, and by the way, Lord, please let Jalen Carter slide down to 10. But Sills, he's involved in something with the police. And if the NFL has him at the Combines, let me ask you this. If the NFL thought that Jalen Carter, the defensive lineman from Georgia, was a cancer, do you think they would have invited him back to the Combines? Don't you think teams were calling his agent going, get that kid's ass back up here? He just posted a $4,000 bail. I don't give a shit. Get his ass back up to Indianapolis. He probably was just going to sit back and let the teams want to talk to him. You think anybody wants to see Jalen Carter run a 40? No. You think anybody wants to see him run shuttle drills? No. They want to talk to him. Kid, I want to know why your decision-making got you here. And like I said the other day, and I've been saying it all week, if I'm good with his decision-making, don't let that kid fall to 10. Because then Howie's in the building again doing this. Come on. Who wants a 10th pick? And if my 3 DBs and corners are sitting where they might be right there between 10 and 14, hey, man, come on in. I'll slide down, get Gonzalez, Porter, or Witherspoon, the guy I really want. And I may get another first-round pick. How you doing? Or I may do a cheeseball move and give CJ a $14.4 million sign, shift his ass over the corner, and then get the Bama kid who plays safety. You know Bama has 2 guys in the top 10 defensive players, and they were both their safeties. How's that for you? Both safeties are ranked in the top 10 best defensive players. We got the rankings here. Woo! The other comment. Darius Slay, this is a message to all the Eagle guys. Darius Slay, shut your face. James Bradbury, shut your hole. Every Eagle that's in the Nova Care Center, stop responding to JuJu Smith nobody. I couldn't understand the video. It was the dumbest, dorkiest thing I've ever seen since Napoleon Dynamite. I couldn't figure the damn thing out. I'm like, swing sets and what? It's really dopey. This kid should be in the CFL. JuJu Smith Schuster, 900 yards in that offense last year. Hoss, honestly, I mean, you were a non-factor. The quarterback is the deal. 15, not you. You're a nobody. Shut your hole. But then what you get is you get Darius Slay barking back. Well, we didn't really play that bad. Yeah, you did, guy. Yeah, you did. Second half, Patrick Mahomes was 90%, and the only reason he wasn't 100% was because he had a throwaway. Come on, dude. They were scoring at will on you. They figured you out. They confused you. You played like shit. For that matter, too, Darius Slay, you didn't really play all that hot from Minnesota on. You're making it sound like you were spectacular. You were not. The other guy on the other side actually had a more consistent year in James Bradbury. And for the record, the best DB was CJ, not you. JuJu Smith, nobody, is putting videos out. It'd be one thing, right? If Devonta Adams is putting that out, you're like, man, or Justin Jefferson. JuJu Smith, nobody, is dogging the Eagle guys. Here, how about this? You put JuJu Smith, nobody, with Carson Wentz. How you doing? I mean, come on, dude. But it looks stupid with Slay talking. Dude, you're going to make $18 million this coming year with the Eagles. Let that guy die on the vine. He's got the market of no one. Just let that guy go, man. By the way, you're keeping him relevant. He's doing this for a reason. To stay relevant, because he's a free agent. Bradbury and Slay are making that guy relevant, and he's Mr. Not Relevant. Brock Purdy's more relevant. Hey, dude, shut your hole. JuJu Smith, nobody. Give me a break. Honestly, man. Darius Slay, you're making $18 million. Act like it. May I say that, please? By the way, we're going to talk a little college sports with Tim Brando. That'll be in hour 3, 5:30 Eastern time. We'll talk with our friend. We'll talk Nil. We'll talk some of the top prospects. He works for Fox now, so we'll talk with our friend. All right. We got a bunch of stuff here, man. We got the top safeties that are at the combines. Salary cap, where some of the Eagle guys may land. And also the top 10 defensive players that are in the draft. Slide all the way down to 10. Some of the guys maybe that the Eagles can look at, they're at number 10. Okay, I'm going to say something to you. Are you ready? This is a Jalen Hurts. You ready? When you sign Jalen Hurts to a $50 million per year contract, and I do believe he's going to get it, you can kiss the 2024 season goodbye. You can kiss it goodbye. He'll have a lesser team. The 2023 season, the Eagles have a 2-year window, last year and this year. Because this year he's scheduled to make $4 million. Okay? You think Howie's got a lot of work this year in the offseason? You wait till that $50 million contract kicks in. Peter says wrong. Why am I wrong, Peter? I'll tell you what, Peter, I'll start it off right in the top here. Why am I wrong that the 2024 season will be the worst team that Jalen will be on since he's been here? Well, the 4-win team's going to be the worst. Tell me why I'm wrong. No, wait a minute. The kid from Pitt looks pretty good. He reminds me of Aaron Donald size-wise and speed-wise. Tell me why my statement, I'll say it again to you, when the Philadelphia Eagles put a $50 million deal, and by the way, I think he's getting it because that idiot, hey, man, I don't know what the Giants are thinking. If Dimes Jones called me up and said, we're looking in excess of $45 million, I'd have hung the phone up. I would have went like this, not happening. If I'm going to pay that money, I'll go get Derek Carr. I ain't getting you. No, thank you. You ain't that guy, dude. Daniel Jones, Carson Wentz. I don't know. I'd rather have maybe Wentz. Daniel Jones is not better than Carson Wentz. Can you imagine Brian Daboll with Carson Wentz? Maybe that could fix him. He fixed Josh Allen. He fixed Daniel Jones. If I'm Carson Wentz, I might think about going to the Giants. Tony, don't give me shit about Jalen's mentality. It's got nothing. His mentality has nothing to do with the roster. Has nothing to do with the roster. Zero. Ruiz goes like this. The offense is still intact for the time being. For the time being. You signed Jalen Hurts to a $50 million contract. Your 2024 season will be toast. Cap will go up in the next 2 years, probably around $40 million. Okay? 16 this year, potentially 18 the following year. So somewhere around 40. Is that going to be enough to keep? You're not going to be. How long do you think how long do you think A.J. Brown's on the team with a $50 million quarterback? Name me a team that has a $25 million wide receiver and a $45 million quarterback. Name me one. Oh, Philly. Not yet. Name me one. Name me one place that's got a $25 million wideout and a $45 million wide receiver. Name me one. Name me one place. Like I said to you, Stephon Diggs, in my opinion, either he restructures his contract or he's out. Because that $44 million contract to Josh Allen's kicks in. March 15th, baby. Why do you think DeAndre Hopkins is on the market? Because the quarterback makes 46.1. Give it to him, baby, because then we're going to find out if Jalen Hurts is Patrick Mahomes or not. You see, I told you this the other day. I'm no longer measuring Jalen Hurts to Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, or any of those other guys. Now that you're going to put him in a high rent district like Patrick Mahomes and them $45 million guys, you better win games like that guy when you lose talent around you. Or guess what? You're Dak Prescott. Here's the two examples of what you could look like or what you potentially can be. By the way, it might work. It just might work. Jalen I'm just saying I'm going with what the league has shown us so far. I'm going by recent history. You guys are going by potential. You're going by hope. I'm going by fact. So the guy in Kansas City, in the last 5 years, he's won 2 Super Bowls. The first Super Bowl win against the Niners had a great team. Honey Badgers on it. Tyreek Hill's on it. Bunch of guys, veteran guys are on it. The guy Houston, the defensive end. Now you got Chris Jones and a bunch of nobodies on defense. You got a bunch of dudes playing wide out in Kansas City. And you got Travis Kelce, thank God. Running back's a rookie. And you got a bunch of dudes. What'd that guy do? He still won a Super Bowl. That's why you pay him $45 million. Here's the other side of that. You pay Dak Prescott $45 million. Prior to that deal, he's got Amari Cooper, Tony Pollard, a better O-line, Zeke Elliott, tight end is good. Defensive players on the other side. All of a sudden, $49.1 million hits the Cowboys on March 15th. That's Dak Prescott's salary. They got to get rid of Zeke. And you got Michael Parsons' deal coming around the corner next year. Zeke's gone unless he takes a pay cut. Amari's off that team. You're paying him $20 million. And you gave a first round up for him to the Raiders. The Eagles are either going to be the Cowboys or they're going to be the Chiefs. And you guys are betting against recent history that he's going to be Patrick Mahomes. Only one of those deals have worked out. Where you paid a quarterback a buttload of money. Brock Purdy got to the NFC title game. Jalen got to one more game than Brock Purdy did. And Brock Purdy makes $937,000. So, like I said a couple months ago, I'd rather be in the financial situation with Brock Purdy than Jalen Hurts. The Niners are the team to beat in the NFC. Why is that? They're going to get Isaac Seumalo. They're going to put Isaac Seumalo on that O-line. They're not losing anybody. And if the kid Purdy plays like he did a year ago, I don't really know what he is either yet. I'm not going to sit here and crown a guy like you guys do over 1 year. Jalen Hurts is not elite. 1 year doesn't make you elite. Consistency. The guy in Kansas City's elite. Because if that was the case, and if that's your metric, you guys must have thought Carson Wentz was elite. You must have thought, you cannot sit here and go, Dan, Jalen Hurts is elite. Well, then you must have thought Carson Wentz was. He had one great year. You don't win a Super Bowl without him. Am I wrong? 2 years straight, playoffs. Wow. And he sucked out loud in the 2 playoff games in the NFC. He was fabulous in the Super Bowl. He was terrible. He threw for 93 yards in one of the games. Oh, that's right, the 30-yard gift they gave him. He was terrible. He was great in the Super Bowl. Actually, spectacular. I tell you how it is. Now, I'm going to ask you one of the most important questions about Howie Roseman here. Dude, do I think Jalen can be an elite quarterback if he starts to string these years together? Yeah. I'm not telling you that. Well, how about this? Hurts is more trending up. He's trending up more. By the way, I'll make this statement to you too. Hey, man, guess what? I actually think the offense may be better this coming season than it was last year. I think the connection with Brian Johnson will be better than what it was with Shane Steichen. Him and Jalen. By the way, Jalen's got so much respect for Brian Johnson, the new offensive coordinator. Brian Johnson's known him since he was 3 years old. I think Brian played at Utah quarterback. He knows the position. These guys, and Jalen won't take advantage of his relationship and his personal relationship with the guy. He knows how to be coached. He knows respect. He knows his role. He knows the coach's role. I think they're possibly going to be better on offense. Get the running back situated. Maybe you move over Cam Jurgens to the right guard position. Kelce comes back. I don't know. I think the offense might be even better. And it's going to have to be because the defense has so many question marks going into this offseason here. Okay? I'm not treating Hurts. GT, I've said nothing negative about Jalen Hurts. I said it about the roster. You're taking it and adding it, and you're making that up. I never said shit about him. What, because I said 1 year? It's a fact. It's 1 year. It's 1 year of great ball. Carson Wentz had 1 year of great ball in Philadelphia. Actually, he had about 3. But for our context, you can't sit here on March 3rd and go, well, hey, Jalen's elite. Well, your boy Wentz was elite too. That's why the word elite gets thrown around like the word great does. Consistency, year after year. What makes Brady the best quarterback to ever play? Is he the greatest talent next to Aaron Rodgers? No. Is he a better talent than John Elway? No. Is he a better quarterback than Elway and Rodgers? Yes. Because he was consistent every freaking year. 1 year doesn't make you elite. Does he have, you're going on traits. Carson Wentz had traits. I love that word unique, Peter, because I do think that's the word. Peter, I think that's maybe the take so far of this conversation. Jalen's unique. Okay, yeah, sure. He's one of? All right. Is that $50 million? Look, they're going to have to pay it. I get it. My conversation is not about whether Jalen's good or bad. My conversation is, how is Howie going to get around all of this with a salary that's going to decimate your roster in 2024? You can't sit here and go, no, that's not true. That's a lie. Anytime you play quarterbacks, teams get decimated. You know this. So I'll ask this question now. How much do you trust Howie Roseman to duplicate what he did in 2022 as he retools the Eagles for the 2023 season? How confident are you? Now, there's examples. He built and helped build the 2017 team, for sure. He also helped destroy the team in 2 years to a 4-win team. He built it back up through free agency. He didn't build it up through the draft. As a matter of fact, Howie Roseman didn't build the 17 team up through the draft. And he didn't build the 2022 team through the draft. Those guys were a non-factor last year. Both the 2022 and 23 draft classes are going to be essential for the success of the Eagles in 2023, and maybe even beyond that to 2024, because you have the majority of them on rookie contracts. You tell me, do you feel comfortable in Howie Roseman retooling this team like he did last year? Let's take a look at that. You think he's going to strike gold on 2 corners? I'm counting CJ kind of as a corner safety and Bradbury. You think he's going to strike gold there? Yes or no? Do you think he's going to strike gold on 2 linebackers he needs? Do you think he's going to strike gold on his 2 tackles? Shit, I'm not even sure about Jordan Davis yet. He has not wowed me at all in any way. Jordan Davis, as a matter of fact, after watching some of these kids from Georgia run some of these 40s and watching some of the tape, I'm going to make a comment to you. I think Jordan Davis is the lesser of all these Georgia guys the last 2 years when it comes to production and it comes to athleticism. Even though that kid tore the doors off the combines, this kid Nolan Smith is too. But the one factor that you have with Jordan Davis, he's never been productive in his career ever. 43 games, 9 sacks. This year, no sacks. kind of a run stopper at times. I'm not calling him a bust. I'm not doing that. 13th pick? No way, though. Not the 13th pick. Remember what I told you Jordan Davis should have been drafted? Right around where they were a year ago, around 22, 25, somewhere down there. He should have went down there, not the 13th pick. Fletcher Cox was the 12th pick. Okay? Fletcher Cox, he needs to look like that. And he is a far distance from being Fletcher Cox. Okay? That dude is not Fletcher Cox. Fletcher Cox is a borderline Hall of Famer. So, do you feel comfortable in Howie Roseman retooling the team and hitting on all of those picks? Howie's not a great drafter. And again, not to throw shade at him, because drafting, it's like picking stocks. They go up and down. Sometimes you land on a guy. Sometimes you don't. You know, as a matter of fact, I think that Howie Roseman and his personnel department have had better luck rounds 3 down than they have from 1 to 3. I think they do a better job at getting guys like Foles and Kelsey and Mulata and those other guys in latter rounds than I do. Because you know why? You don't overdraft. You pick the best player available. That's why if Carter falls to 10, hey, Sills, I want Witherspoon. I get it. The position is a more valued position than defensive tackle. But Carter's a better player. He's a better player. Yeah, but when you draft on need, that's where you overdraft. You got to look at that player and go, does he match up with where his draft status is? Like this Bijan Robinson kid, you know he's ranked like the 5th best athlete at the combines? And do you know he's going to go down in the 20s or potentially down near where the Eagles pick at 30? That's a massive plus pick. You can't lose on that pick. You would have taken a kid who's the 5th best athlete at the combines at 30. That's a win. That's a win. That's how you draft. Don't overthink it and overcook it. Well, I need a corner. Okay, so if the kid Wilson falls from Texas Tech down to 10, you're going to pass on him to take Gonzalez? Or the kid Riggs? Like I said about the kid Riggs, doesn't have very good hands. He'd be a great blitzer. But at corner, I like my corner to have some pretty good wide receiver hands. Like, look at Dion. He couldn't crack an egg. He didn't throw over there, though. Okay? So my point again is, do you trust Howie? Now, here's what Howie has to do. Okay, do you think that Howie Roseman is looking at the 2023 season or the 2024 season right now as he prepares for free agency on March 15th and the April draft? What do you think he's looking at? He's looking at 2024. And he's got Jalen's contract in the back of his mind. What's in the best interest of the Philadelphia Eagles right now? To get the deal done today or to get the deal done progressively as we get into the July training camp? I'm thinking that he may want to get the deal done before the July 27 training camp date and somewhere around in there and figure out everything else. And then they'll know the money that they can spend on Hurts or offer Hurts. Why would I do this? Here's $50 million and then I got to fill the roster. Dude, you're never going to win if you don't fill the roster first. It's like the chicken and the egg conversation. Pay Jalen first or fix the roster. The Eagles got to the Super Bowl because of the roster. They got to that Super Bowl and dominated teams, because of the great players they had on that roster. Probably the best roster the Eagles have had in the Super Bowl era is last year's roster. And it took a generational quarterback and Patrick Mahomes to beat it with a generational coach. That was Andy Reid's best coaching job I've ever seen him coach in the second half. He was flawless. Time management, timeouts, crossing routes. They figured it out immediately. Sideline adjustments, everything. Once it got rolling downhill, the Eagles couldn't stop that avalanche. Here's something else to think of. If both or all three of my cornerbacks are there at 10, I'm trading out of that 10th pick down. I need to get young and cheap. Remember that. You need to get young and cheap. Why? That's what Chiefs did. The Chiefs got young and cheap. They moved off of a $20 million wideout and a $20 million safety. You know, everyone keeps throwing Tyreek Hill's number out. Well, don't you guys remember how he was looking and kicking tires on Honey Badger? And for whatever reason, Mickey Loomis, they let C.J. Gardner-Johnson go because they went out and they signed Honey Badger. Again, bad move. The Saints, what are the Saints? The Saints are $30 million over the cap. They had to. They couldn't afford Gardner-Johnson now. And get this, the Bucks are $57 million. Wait, that number's going to come down when they cut Brady. 35 of that will come off that 57. Then they got to restructure contracts. Deep Blue goes, Big Sills. Howie needs to trade the 10th pick back to a quarterback, desperate team, and get Gonzalez at 13 and get a first next year. Yeah. Yes. Yes. He is going to need more draft picks in 2024 than he will this year. Dude, I think they should go along the lines of free agency again this year on 1-year deals or 2-year deals. I think that 2024 deal, in my opinion, with Hurts' contract, you're going to need to load up and have a ton of draft choices. Like Kansas City, at one time or another last year, had 9 rookies starting in a game last year. 9 rookies. At one time or another starting in a game. 9. But when you feel you have the – hey, this comes back to Jalen. You got to feel that guy can overcome. And by the way, some of you are right here. Hey, some of you are right here. The one thing that's really playing into the fact that there's 2 actual points here that are playing into this. The NFC sucks, and the offense will be intact. That plays into the Eagles. In my opinion, you're not a better roster than San Francisco. San Francisco has more stars on both sides of the ball. You can't match their stars. The Eagles cannot match the 49ers stars on both sides of the ball. You can't. You don't have a Christian McCaffrey. You don't have that. You don't have a Nick Bosa. You don't have a Fred Warner. You don't have a Hufanga. You don't have any of that. You have none of that. And they can match you with Trent and Debo. Even the kid Ayuk is good. Not saying that he's better than Devonta because I don't think he is. But they got more stars than you. You're looking at the 2022 roster. You need to erase that. You don't have that 2022 roster. They do. They do. I'm just saying. I mean, no. You know what? Niners all damn day. It's not about shots fired. It's reality. Now, they're stable at the quarterback position. And for 7 years, the Niners haven't been. I personally don't know what Brock Purdy is. I kind of got a sense of what Trey Lance is. I have no faith in that guy whatsoever. Zero faith in that dude. And get this, too, and I said this yesterday. So John Lynch is kicking the can on a veteran quarterback, and he's letting one walk out the building who's 49-17. That I don't get. So you're going to let a guy out of the building that led you to three NFC title games. And you're going to go look for a veteran quarterback. Who, Blake Bortles? Brock is injured, right? I don't know when he's coming back. I personally, I don't know what he is. You know, if I'm sitting here saying Jalen had 1 year really great, this kid had a stretch. That was great. A stretch. Wouldn't call that a season. So I've got to be fair to that conversation. I don't know who he is. Can he do that again? I don't know. Trey Lance, to me, and I said this yesterday, you better hope he's Kaepernick. You better hope that guy turns into Colin Kaepernick. Because right now, Trey Lance ain't better than Colin Kaepernick. Kaepernick got to a Super Bowl. You better hope that guy turns into that guy. Right now, that guy looks like DeMarcus Russell. Looks like DeMarcus Russell. GT goes, Sills, they can't stop our offense. Agreed. That's half the team, though. Your special teams blows, and your defense is in shambles right now. You can't win an NFC champ. You won an NFC championship with balance. You don't have balance any longer. How we built this team, and, you know, everyone keeps saying and talking about dynasty. How can you build a dynasty on 1-year deals with free agents? Let's do this. Who are your benchmark guys on defense that are your pillars? Josh Sweat? Who else? Don't tell me Jordan Davis. He ain't shown me shit yet before you start throwing Nakobe Dean. Not happening. You don't get that latitude because that's potential talk again. Potential is, I haven't done it. CJ's not coming back. He's out. You think the Eagles are going to pay $14.4 million for a safety? Really? 14.4, 18 million for Slay. You're going to have over $30 million in two dudes in the secondary. One's a safety. You believe that, huh? That's not how you build a solid roster and a balanced roster, by doing that. And you got a $15 million edge rusher and Hassan Reddick. Hargrave is gone. Here's what I would do. Restructure the contract to Slay and move his ass before the NFL draft. Who wants a corner? You know who might want a corner? The Rams. The Rams are talking to the Giants right now. You want to hear something crazy? The Rams are going to send potentially Jalen Ramsey to the Giants, and they're going to pick up 65% of that $20 million they own. They're going to need a corner. Send his ass out there. Howie has to pay some of that, $18 million. Give it to him in a bonus so they can take that off your cap. The Rams are going to need a corner. They've actively telegraphed it, put the bat signal up and said, Ramsey's for sale. Best offer, come get him. Do you understand when you telegraph that? You're willing to pay some of the $20 million when you do that. That's why people go, well, I'm not picking that guy up because of the money. The Rams are telling you, no, we'll help this deal. Well, when a team telegraphs that you're wanting to get rid of somebody, they're telling you they'll pay some of the freight. We're taking all comers now. Brandon says, Sills, do you believe that if Howie lands 2 of the first picks, that the scheme of the defense can keep the 23 teams near the top of the NFC at bay? I think this defense, and I think, the Saunders hire is another fabulous hire by the Eagles. I think he's creative. I think it's a hybrid of the Ravens 43, 34 look. You'll see 34, 43 look. I think he's a better mind. I think he's more creative. And you're going to have that on that side of the ball, especially with younger players. And get this, he's better with younger players. I talked to a bunch of people down at the University of Miami when he was down there. He was constantly on the practice field down there when he was a director of football operations for the Hurricanes. Bunch of people loved him. Then a Hurricane hired him in Chicago, Mark Trestman. Had a great conversation with Trestman about him. Innovative, creative, a teacher. You're going to need to be a teacher because you're going to have a ton of new faces on that side of the ball. Now, look, do I think there's going to be a massive drop-off? I mean, we said this yesterday to you. Massive drop-off? How is there going to be a massive drop-off when you got shitty teams all over the NFC? And if Rodgers moves out of Green Bay, who's Jalen got to battle against? The Niners and then who? Kirk Cousins? Eagles own them. The Cowboys? I think they're going to finish last in the NFC East. Who? Who's the Rams? Have a bounce back? I don't know. What do they look like on defense? What's their old line going to look like? Who's running the ball for them? Is Stafford healthy? Seattle? Seattle may actually be, by everything said and done, after this coming free agency and draft, they may be the second best team in the NFC. They may be the second or third best team in the NFC. Who would have thought that Pete Carroll would have rebuilt it off of the picks that they got from Denver because they moved Wilson? They're better today than they were 3 years ago with Wilson. Will there be this massive drop-off? I don't think so. However, it's going to look completely different. Here's how the Eagles, and look, that's a question. I was going to throw this topic at you too. So let's do it now. What are the Eagles going to look like this coming 2023 season? I know it's hard to sit here and put the pieces on the chessboard now when you don't know what's coming back, the contract. Again, know this. The Jalen Hurts contract will not affect the 2023 season. It'll affect the 2024 season when the contract kicks in on March 16th, 2024. This year, you can kind of go down the line. There's going to be a lot of one-year deals, and a lot of new faces on defense. Okay, what's the team going to look like this year? 12-win team, 11-win team, 10-win team. Tougher schedule. Watch this. I'll give you the assessment. Better offense. I think they're going to be better than they were a year ago. I think their defense is not going to be as good. Those 70 sacks are gone. And by the way, Hassan Reddick, 4 straight years now with double-digit sacks. He'll do it again. You know why? He's an elite pass rusher. Why? He's going into his 5th year. That's elite, friends. And I said pass rusher. Okay? That's elite when you're doing it for 5 years. That's elite. Here's how I see them. I think they're going to have to outscore teams. The Eagles are going to have to put up between 65 and 70 plays a game. You think you're going to be looking at the Chip Kelly offense a little bit here. You need to run a ton of plays. Why? You need to keep it's not keeping the opposing teams on the sidelines. I think you have to keep your defense on the sidelines. That's what I think they have to have a mentality of. It's not going to be about keeping Josh Allen on the sidelines or Patrick Mahomes when you play him this year. It's going to be about keeping your defense on the sidelines until they can mature, until you could see and they understand what their job responsibilities are. Remember something, building a defense like this is going to take some time here. Especially, hey, why do you think it succeeded the way it did a year ago? Because you got veteran guys in there. Now you're going to have to get rookie dudes. That's a different calling card there. Okay? Come on, Sills. We're getting on Reddick all year now. He's elite. No, I said he's an elite pass rusher. He can't tackle to save his life or cover anybody out of the backfield. Once again, you heard 5% of what I said. He's an elite pass rusher. He's nothing near Micah Parsons. Parsons can cover people. He can't. He's a one-dimensional player. Okay? He's a one-dimensional player. That's all he does. He's not a cover guy. He's not a very good tackler. Pro Football Focus has him one of the worst tacklers in the league. Can't cover tight ends or backs. They knew that, though. That's a fact. What's this team going to look like? You're going to have to lean on that offense a lot. A ton. Because you're top heavy. As of today, on March 3rd, you don't have a defense. You got a coordinator. Now, I'm going to ask you again, what's important to you? Building the roster or signing Jalen? Signing Jalen? That's not important to me right now. I got to build my roster. Jalen's contract affects the 2024 team. Because let me tell you this. Come March 15th, 4 p.m. Eastern time, when those deals start dropping and the Eagles don't get in the room for the first wave and potentially in the second wave, then you're picking up people's scraps. You better have a plan in place. And signing a quarterback at $50 million is not my number one priority. Retooling my team is. And it should be. This is about a roster. Jalen Hurts can't win a Super Bowl without the roster. That's Patrick Mahomes at. The Hurts contract should be the last thing on the table. By the way, I'm not sitting here going, pay him 38, 45, pay him 50. You're going to have to come up with it, but get the team built. Then you get a chance to see what your weaknesses and strengths are. Right now, doing this. Let's sign Hurts. Why isn't the deal getting done? Because you got a roster to build. Well, let's pay Jalen first, and then we'll fill it. You're going to fill it in with scraps and draft choices? You might not make the playoffs. Really, you think paying that guy is the most important? I'll bet you this. I'll bet you $1 million if you ask Jalen Hurts the most important thing to him right now, being the kind of team guy he is, I'll bet you $1 billion that guy says, let's get the team built and we'll deal with my contract. Probably makes Clutch Sports grab their throats, but you know he said that. You know he said that. Tell me I'm lying. You don't think Howie and Jeffrey Lurie are going, we love you. We want to put the best team we possibly can around you. Are we on the same page? Jalen Hurts, yes. There's your hometown discount. There's your hometown discount. He's going to work with you. Don't worry, we'll get it. Let's get the roster built. I want to get back to the Super Bowl. The only way that Jalen Hurts' value and his contract pay off is if he wins. Dak Prescott's contract didn't pay off. Derek Carr's contract didn't pay off. Look at what they did up in Green Bay. The minute they gave Rodgers $50 to $60 million, he was 8-9. Even Aaron Rodgers. By the way, don't take this that I don't think that Jalen Hurts is not a priority. But haven't you guys been telling me the whole time? Sills, I think Jalen will work with the Eagles. This is working with the Eagles. And by the way, no way I want you to go away thinking, well, Jalen will take less money. I don't want Hurts to take less money. I'm not saying that. But everybody in Philadelphia is saying, let's get Hurts' deal. Why isn't the deal done? Get the roster built. Get the roster built. Hurts wants the roster built. How many times has he come out publicly saying there's plenty of time for that? Jalen Hurts ain't going anywhere. And if Jalen's the guy that you guys have been telling me the entire time, this is exactly what the Eagles are doing. They're going to take their time. They got their coordinators in place. They got them in place before they went to the combines. Howie and his scout team are there. The coordinators are all there. Don't you think if the number one priority was getting Hurts' deal done, he'd be back in Philly talking to Clutch? He's not. He's at the combines for the entire week, looking at the direction that he's going to have to go to fill holes that free agency is going to put into his defense and into his roster. Build the roster. Then you get to Jalen. By the way, am I saying let Jalen go into his final season and in September he's not under? I didn't say that. I never said that. So don't stretch that out. It's not true. I said, I guarantee you, Hurts is doing this right now. This deal will get, look, there's one thing that I can think that Howie's doing along with the owner is they're being transparent with him. And I said this to you a couple days ago. I think the mistakes that they learned from Carson Wentz and all the mishaps that they had with him are going to benefit Jalen Hurts. Because you know why? Jalen's covering for that disaster. He's winning. Everyone in Philly reveres him. The locker room reveres him. He loves being an Eagle. He wants to remain in the organization. The organization believed in him. He's an all-pro. Grass isn't greener on the other side here, friends. He's not looking to leave. He's looking to create a legacy. You don't create legacies by bouncing around. It's not a legacy. Jalen's not going to get, Jess, I don't think he gets a 10-year deal, but I think he gets a pretty, watch this. You want to hear something too, what I would do for Jalen Hurts? Jalen, we're going to build the roster first before we get to you. Man, if the quarterback is working with me, I'm going to work even harder for him to put him down to a longer-term deal. You know why? Because I like him. I like him and he's good. You know, most places it's usually he has to be good, then you like him. But I think in Philly, it's both. They like him. You work with me, I'm not going to not reward that. I feel more enabled to reward you for working with the organization to build the roster. Okay? When you're a $50 million a year guy, you are a guy who sits at the table and you're part of the board of directors. You got 5% say in the company's direction when you're the highest paid guy in the building and one of the highest paid guys in the league. You got a seat at the table. And they should be transparent with him. Peter, thank you, my friend. And get this, too. People want to play in Philly. Do people want to play in Baltimore? You got wide receivers now barking at Eric DeCosta, who talks shit on his team. Did you see that? So Eric DeCosta was asked a question at the Combines. I don't know why we haven't been able to draft elite wide receivers. What was the comment that was made? Rashad Bateman fired back and said, don't blame us. Blame the guy calling plays. Elite. And the guy that you're hanging out to dry, talking about Lamar. I'm paraphrasing here. But now you've got bickering in Baltimore. Since when? Since Ozzie left. Hollywood Brown, I don't want to play there. Wide receivers barking back. This guy showed flashes last year. And he barked back at the GM. Don't blame the players, dude. Blame the organization and the direction. You were the guys that made this thing a train wreck at the beginning of the year in Baltimore. The Eagles are going to not go down that road with Jalen Hurts. Do you know one of the coolest things to watch with what they're doing and how they're handling Hurts and Hurts handling the Eagles? Everything is calm, cool, collected, business-like, moving forward, family-like, great environment. Everyone enjoys going to the NovaCare Center every day. My opinion, that's how you build a winning culture. Small says not wanting to pay Hurts right now. Sounds like an excuse. It's look at it. Look at this guy. He wants to pay a guy now, and instead of building the team for Jalen, and then paying Jalen and figuring it out. How dumb is that? Here's your money. No team. The chances of you having a good football team in 2024 right now is zilch. Make sure you have a good team the next couple years for the kid. Don't be like the Cowboys, where you have to start ripping pieces apart of your football team to keep your guy because you paid him. So look at the Raiders. They got rid of a 25-year-old Josh Jacobs. They got rid of a quarterback who's now in the open market that 10 teams are talking to. And where are the Raiders going? What's their answer at quarterback? Do you want to be that? And you're like, well, the Eagles and Jalen will never be that. Well, what? There's more of my examples than Patrick Mahomes examples. Let's not try to go down the Dak Prescott, the Derek Carr, and the Kyler Murray example. Let's try to get to the Patrick Mahomes result. People are blind and ignorant. This is a team sport. This is not – the quarterbacks are the stars and the highest paid guys. But those highest paid guys – here's the greatest example that you could do. I got to do that. I'll show you all these high paid guys. They don't do shit in the NFL when it comes to winning Super Bowls. They don't do shit. Pay the guy. Screw the roster. Yeah, okay. Get ready for 4 wins, Hoss. Get ready for 4 wins. Salary cap. The top 10 defensive players that are in the draft and at the combines right now. Also, the top safeties. Do the Eagles need a safety? I believe they could use one. And I'm going to show you how maybe you can end up making this happen. Deep goes, Big Sills, should we pay Hurts next? No. No, I'm not saying I would like the deal done before July 27th when they report to training camp. No. I don't want him going into his final season and what, having a stupid year like Baltimore did? No, I don't want that. Then you got the quarterback and Clutch Sports going, you might want to hold out, if you're hurt, this and that. I don't want any of that. Why do you think Patrick Mahomes played on a hurt ankle? Because he had the money. Why do you think Lamar Jackson didn't play? Because he didn't have the money. It's not rocket science. Hour 2. Hit the like button. Don't forget also, Tim Brando will join us. We'll talk a little college sports. We'll talk about some of the prospects at the combines. He's with Fox Sports. That'll be 5:30 Eastern time. Hour 2 coming up. Keep it here on the National Football Show.